The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.
Welcome back to the K4Wins. He is Kai Gregory. To my left, to my right, as you're looking stage right. He, of course, has been in the handicapping business now for nearly 40 years, and we just had a huge Super Bowl weekend. I'm Tony Curry, worked at ESPN, did sports radio for 20 years, classic rock as well. And, of course, our other two partners are now joining us on Fridays because it is a little bit of a downtime after the football season. Case Kiefer, Executive Director, Chief Editor of the Las Vegas Sun, and our good friend Kip Kiefer, who, of course, Executive Director of the Birmingham Racecourse Casino. They'll join us again 10 o'clock Central Time right here. And we'll also be back on the Digital Coastal Sports Network hopefully soon, working through some things there as well. Your initial thoughts of Super Bowl outside, it sucked, outside Super Bowl 60, because it did.
Yeah, it did. It was interesting, and I'll tell you what, it's so much easier to do this show sitting at home versus walking around Universal. And I told you the old man. I don't know, did I tell you the old man story where I fell and hit my hip? I've got a bruise on my hip from last week that goes from my hip down to my knee. I mean, it is gross from falling on it. I feel like if I was your age or about to be 60, I think I would have broken it. But yeah. Talk about a klutz, man. But walking 15 miles a day around Universal did not help. And I'm glad to be back and go through that. But I'll tell you what, it was interesting to sit outside at Universal and watch that on the two big screens outside the City Grill and Brew with 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people, however many were around there at times. It was kind of crazy and to see the people. But I think Drake May decided to stay home at the Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. I think Seattle's defense was very good. I was just very disappointed in the lack of effort in the first half, I think, by both teams. It was very bad. But, I mean, the public made a ton of money on the NFL this year, and they did it again in the Super Bowl. I think from what I've seen from some local guys around here, 90% of the money that came in was on Seattle. Mm-hmm. Line never moved. 90% of the money on the under line never moved.
Yeah, and I know this past week you and I both went New England and over just to kind of shy it up a little bit. And listen, like I said, I suck at picking Super Bowls. I'm just being honest with you. Unless I have a goat picking for me, I think it would have been just fantastic, though, if Walker, that touchdown, would have counted at the end, because it would have put it over the total. And I was telling my son, I was like, can you imagine having a 6-0, 9-0 game at halftime and that thing going over the total? Because no one would have thought it was going to go over. It was so under all day long. But I said, man, I've watched enough Red Zone to know how this works. I mean, this is how it goes. There was a possibility. And if you had the over in that game, man, you were thinking to yourself, you turned it off 45 hours earlier, and all of a sudden you got the over, then it gets called back because, of course, of the holding penalty. I thought Chris Collinsworth said it right. I really like Chris, not only because he's a Cincinnati boy, but I think he does really, really well. And I can't believe it was Mike Tirico's first Super Bowl, by the way. I thought he did a great job as well. They were playing really safe in the first half. Our good friend Alda Greco, who joined us on the starting lineup this past week on ABC 3340, said that anytime you kick 3 points, you're 3 bits closer to losing. And it's true. The funny thing is when you went to their website, the Super Bowl website, to vote on Super Bowl MVPs, the kicker's name was nowhere to be found. And I'm thinking, the dude kicked 5 field goals. It should be good for something, right? You should, at least you have your name in the Super Bowl MVP somewhere, right? Especially,
yeah, it's not like they were. Yeah, they weren't 50-yard field goals.
No,
Seattle could have easily scored at least 2 touchdowns.
In a year that Adam Vinatieri makes it into the Hall of Fame as a kicker, so go figure. Yeah, it was horrible. It was boring. And again, this is a rare thing. It's super rare when everyone's got the total and the side, and it doesn't change, and they nail it. It's just very rare. And so that's why I bucked the trend. I thought I'd go the other direction. But yeah, listen, New England, that schedule ended up playing huge into that fact. You're talking about New England, who had scored the second most points in the NFL this year, putting a goose egg up and almost became the first team in NFL history not to score in a Super Bowl, period. And so to take nothing away from the dark side, formerly the Legion of Doom, Seattle looked fantastic, and yeah, and it looks like they've got a lot of guys coming back next year, and good for Sam Darnold too. What an amazing story. A lot of people are talking about Sam's been in the league for 8 years. I mean, this is not a rookie. This he came in the league in 2017, 2018 with the Jets. We remember how that went down, but good for him. Stayed the course. Sometimes you take what you got, and it has so much to do with your surrounding personnel and your coaches and your assistant coaches, your head coaches, the players obviously you're playing with. There's 10 other guys on the football field at the same time, and it just worked out really well for him, and good for him. He wins, 31 games or something the last 2 years. Unbelievable. Now he's got a Super Bowl ring to prove it. So good for him.
Yeah, and that I'm ready to move on, but what's interesting is I think this next year and in the NFL, I think the win total on New England's probably going to go from where I was, 6 this year to 9.5, 10, 10.5 next year. And I will be the first person to jump on the under if it's 10.5 for next year, unless I have the super easiest schedule again. But it's hard to say that at the same time, just knowing I just believe in Vrabel. I really do, which, it's just one of those things. We'll just have to see what happens. And I'm glad that the season's over as far as, getting to move on to a new one. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the NFL in the off season, who the movers and shakers are, and where everybody ends up here in the next few months before we get ready to start doing this all over again, when they start reporting to camp and everything in 4 or 5 months.
Yep. Yeah, Major League Baseball right around the corner. It's going to be a fantastic year. McDonald, the second youngest Super Bowl coach, kind of like him too. He's a young guy. I know that's what everyone's going after. That young type of guy, and I think he's just a great fit for Seattle. And it's funny too because I'm thinking about other quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls, and of course the one that I used to work with. It's just amazing. It doesn't happen very often. But Trent Dilfer, another guy that just won a quarterback. I'm thinking Russell Wilson's got the same number of Super Bowls is Sam Darnold. That just doesn't feel right. It doesn't. But Sam Darnold, let me ask you this. Is Sam Darnold going to be a Hall of Famer, yes or no?
No.
Why?
Unless he has another 10 years like these last 2.
But that's what I'm asking the question.
First 5. I don't know. I think he was in a great situation in Minnesota. I think he's in a great situation in Seattle. Do I think he'd had anywhere near the year without Kenneth Walker III in the backfield? No. Without that defense, he did not win Seattle a lot of games. He managed, and the thing that he did that was different is he did not lose them a lot of games. I do think he lost one a game, but he didn't lose a lot.
Yeah, and I said that going in. They had the second number of turnovers with 28 turnovers right behind the Minnesota Vikings this year, and Sam Darnold was responsible for 20 of those, but in the postseason, 0. 0 picks was fantastic. He had 4 touchdowns going into the Super Bowl game, and of course there's Drake May, who had 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, and it was only a matter of time. He was getting sacked over and over and over again. I did think Chris Collinsworth brought up something really interesting. He mentioned it several times that Drake, and listen, it's the second year in the league, for God's sakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he did mention, he was flustered. He looked a little flustered, and he had more time to throw the football.
I want to know if there was there any truth to the conversation or to the thing that came out that he and one of his offensive linemen got in a scuffle at halftime, the guy that had given up 2 sacks in the first half. That came out, was all over social media after the game. I'm wondering if there's any truth to that.
I hadn't heard anything about that since. Be careful what you read on social media.
Absolutely. I can't stand social media. The only thing that you can count on.
Scuffles at halftime are nothing, dude. We got guys beating the living hell out of each other at halftime, and that's not considered a scuffle. We have to remember, these guys were playing in the biggest game of their life. And yeah, if I'm expecting you to protect me on my blind side or on my weak side, get your ass up and start knocking it out. We're trading somebody out. That's the way
so even though I overruled the other 2 and I went with our picks on New England and the over in that game, we still went 5-3 Sunday. We put some props out there. We didn't put a lot of props. We sent some of our subscribers some picks. We said, hey, here are these props, because people are asking. People want tons of action. 300 props. We're not going to put picks out on for 300. We put 7 or 8, out there, and then we sent another 10. We like these. We went 5-3 on Sunday. So if you were a subscriber of ours, you still ended up up 1.7 units on Super Bowl Sunday, and that included 2 basketball games, one of which we hit very easily. But I say that to kind of get into where we are. We're sitting here today. It's February the 10th. We were 1-1 yesterday after the horrendous loss by Arizona, where clearly the officials wanted Kansas to win that game, whether Peterson played or not. Kansas made 7 more free throws than Arizona attempted in the game in a 4-point win. I say that to tell you guys, everybody watching, just bet home underdogs in basketball. Just bet home underdogs because the officiating was huge in that game. I don't want to take a lot away from Kansas, but there were at least 10 instances that I saw, and I didn't watch the whole game, where Arizona got absolutely hammered in the paint and no call. And then 15 seconds later, you go down to the other end and there's a little touch, and Kansas is shooting 2 free throws. So you've got to look at that also when you're playing. There are some great home matchups with dogs, and
unfortunately, we can't handicap that. I mean, it's
correct.
Some night that happens, sometimes it just happens, and sometimes it does. So I mean,
right. And that's why we went 1-1 yesterday. But we were 24-7 last week. So if you're $100 better on games, and you're one of our subscribers, you made $1,630 last week, $1,630, $100 better. Last month, 121 and 88. So last month was not as great as last week, but you still are up over $1,200 as $100 better. And year to date, we're 150 and 94. So you're up right around $5,000 if you're $100 better with K4. And since we started this back in July of 24, we're 17 and 52 and 1026. $100 better would be up over $55,000 with us.
Pretty good.
Through the string. But what you have to do, and we talked about this the other day, is you have to bet the bets. If we give you 7 plays, don't come back to me and say, "Oh man, y'all went 5-2 yesterday, but I lost money because I put my plays." If you're getting a service, don't play your own plays. Don't.
Exactly. I mean, now if you're getting a service just from a supplementary standpoint, just to see what we're up to see what we're doing. I know a lot of people do that as well, but you're an idiot. I mean, if you're paying $99 a month or whatever for a service, play your plays. If you're making an investment, it's like playing the stock market. It's like going with Fidelity and deciding to go off and do night trading. Why?
But if you go to K4Wins.com, you'll see we have daily subscriptions, we have weekly subscriptions, we have monthly, we have yearly, and everybody is up. And you know what? All you got to do is email me. If you get a daily subscription and we lose, email me. I'll give you the next day free. That's no big deal. We'll take care of you. If we have a losing week, we'll take care of you. Losing month, which we have not, knock on wood, had a losing month since we opened 2 years ago. I mean, that is phenomenal. I think we've had 1 losing week, Tony. Now, do we have losing days? Sure. Everybody does. And anybody that comes out and says we're 75%, long-term, blah, 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 they're lying. I mean, we are sitting right now since just this year on the website because we changed websites. We had an update, get it a little bit better, and we're sitting at 65%, for the year to date. That's phenomenal. We're still above 64% in the last 2 years. That's phenomenal. If we keep that up, that's great. But that's also because there's multiple ones of us, and if Tony has North Carolina tonight and I have Miami, we talk about that. We don't play them. It's just that simple. We're trying to do what's best not only for our own bankrolls, but for our subscribers' bankrolls and followers as well. And you can look us up. I mean, we need you to go to our Facebook page, K4Wins, and look us up and like the Facebook page.
Yeah, like the page.
Thing, with X, and the Instagram will be up by the end of this week as well.
All right, great. K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Just to kind of prove your point too, Case Kiefer, he picked every single game in the National Football League this year. I don't know what that number was, but he was like 473 and 437 or something like that. He was not that much over 500. And here's a guy who picks every single game and does it for a living and has his own computer program, and he's brilliant. I would take his plays all day long over anyone else's, and he does fantastic work. So that's great stuff. Before we move into some college hoops, and I want to get into this Bediako story with you because there's not a lot to gamble on outside, of course, college hoops. And we got some NHL action and some MMA stuff too. The 9-game schedule, which I do not like. It was a situation where the Big Ten wanted the SEC to play a 9-game schedule. I'm not sure why, but because of that now, Alabama has to cancel what?
It boggles the mind, and I'm
Ridiculous.
just I understand, but Alabama and Ohio State are supposed to start home and home in 27, and the rumors are coming out that Alabama's trying to buy out of that. I would love to hear Legends' thoughts on this, just because, but because my reaction is, and I don't care who it is. I don't care if this was Tennessee, which is my team buying out. I don't care if it's Ohio State buying out. I just think it's horrible for college football. We need to have those games. And the committee is not going to punish someone that's a top 12 team that goes and plays that game, in my opinion.
They bit Texas this year.
Did they? Was that really a punishment?
Texas? I believe Texas should have been in, but it was a loss, and it was on the road and was down by 7 points. I still think Texas was a top 12 team. I don't know, but
I'm more on the Notre Dame bandwagon.
Them and Notre Dame, yeah. No, I think Notre Dame should have been over Texas all day long. But what I'm saying is Texas is right there on the cusp. And there was a loss there, and it was a third loss. And if you want to make that argument, and I don't think now that may have had nothing to do with the fact that Texas didn't make it in. Maybe that loss on the road by 7 points is actually a positive thing for some voters. I don't know.
But it screams we're scared. Canceling that screams we're scared. We don't want a top 20 matchup because we don't know we can win. And so here's my deal. I don't think Saban would have ever canceled it. He liked the competition. Yes, he wanted to win.
And this is a Kalen DeBoer thing, by the way. This is a Kalen DeBoer thing. This is Kalen's idea. He's the one that wants to get the thing canceled.
I mean, to me, it just screams we're scared. We're scared of a loss because that might put too many. And for DeBoer, it might get him fired. And if I'm an Alabama fan, I look at it more of that's how I'm looking at it. Our coach is scared of competition. He thinks he can beat the lower-ranked SEC teams, get some home wins here, and make it in the playoffs and save his job and get lucky maybe in the playoffs. Something happens. But to me, it screams, and I would say the exact same thing if this was Josh Heupel in Tennessee. It screams, we're scared. Let's go schedule an FCS opponent and hope we make the playoffs.
And as a season ticket holder and as just a college football fan in general, I'd much rather see Alabama play Ohio State than A&M or Oklahoma or even Texas. Or even Georgia to that extent. I love those non-conference games. I love those those are the ones that everyone talks about how big it was. Do you remember how great the competition was the first 3 weeks of this year? How incredible it was. Normally it's really good the first week because you get the Chick-fil-A kickoff bowl and all this other crap, and then usually the second week it falls off. We're playing Kennesaw State, this, that, and the other. The first 3 weeks are fantastic because everyone was playing out at a conference, and everything was fantastic. And it's because we're playing 12 or 13 games, and we only have 8 conference games. One of the reasons the Big Ten's so damn boring is because from top to bottom, they got to play each other 9 times. When you're only talking about 12 or 13 games, you're talking roughly 8 or 9% of your season in one game. And it's just, I would rather see Alabama against, I'm trying to think, USC. Even maybe not a perennial, maybe not even a top 5, maybe a top team. Memphis. I would like to see that game just because we don't get a chance to see it very often. And I know ticket holders would agree with me there.
Well, and then the other aspect of it is if you're going to, and this would be something that I would come in, like if I was in charge, I would come in and say, okay, if we're going to play this 9-game schedule and y'all are not going to play these great out-of-conference games, then play the smaller schools in your state. Give the money to your state schools. Alabama, play Auburn, play Samford. Play those smaller schools. Yep. And Ohio State, who does? Because the teams in the Big 12, Big 10 are much better than the SEC schools as far as scheduling local schools to play. And it's just like we've talked about for basketball with UAB. Alabama's just not going to do anything at all to give just the little slightest chance that UAB could better them in something. I mean, they barely play baseball against each other, but they'll do that just because it's a little bit different.
Because they don't have to. I mean, with that argument, they don't have to, and so they're not going to.
But it sucks for the smaller schools in the state. I like to see the schools do that, and as they should. But we were going to have, we got 5 months to talk, or 6, 7 months. I don't know how long we've got to talk about football, and I've got a feeling that we're going to be talking about things like this till we're blue in the face starting next year because unfortunately, I don't think Alabama's going to be the last team to pull this crap.
We're going to be there. Kai Gregory, he, of course, with part of K4Wins, Take 4 Wins. I'm Tony Curry. And, of course, Case Kiefer and Kip Kiefer. They'll join us again on Friday at 10 o'clock Central. We'll be back on the Coastal Sports Network, hopefully, and also, of course, on Tony Curry Radio, where we have thousands of callers and listeners every single week as well. Over 100,000 people subscribe to the TKR app, so make sure you check it out. 10, 4.6, and 1.4. That would be rebounds and blocks for Bediako, who played 5 games for the Crimson Tide. I am happy for the NCAA. I think the NCAA gets a raw deal. I think everyone just screams. And we got to remember the NCAA was created by whom? By the schools themselves. And now the school's like, the NCAA sucks. Hey, this is your baby. You created this monster, okay? You're the one that put this whole thing together, and now you don't want me, and because they had the power to shut the doors on you and give you 3 years of violations and blah, 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 blah. We hate the NCAA. We used to always say, you know, if it's the IRS, 60 minutes, or the NCAA come and knock on your door, don't answer it. And here we are, Bediako, who's played 5 games into it. It appears that they won't have to vacate the 3 wins. They were 3-2 with him in the lineup. Obviously made a difference. Double-digit scoring. We were talking about from a chemistry standpoint, when you're taking 20% of a guy out and putting 20% of another guy in, does it change your team? Absolutely. But your initial thoughts on the judge coming out and saying, listen, I thought it was great. He said that because he was saying he was fearing irreparable financial damage to himself because he wasn't getting an opportunity to come back to college and obviously make more than he would in a G League. He's already played pros. If I'm this guy, and I realize that's where you go where the money goes, obviously if he's played in a G League, he's good enough to play up to his next game, to the next game where maybe he can be in the NBA and make a $697,000 minimum. I'm not sure why you'd want to take another year and go play. That's like you in 12th grade saying, yeah, I can win a championship in Little League. I'm going to go back and play with Little League for a little while because I don't think I can make it in Major League Baseball. Time's wasted, man. I mean, we know how important every single year is with an NBA player's body, unless you're LeBron James. But yeah, just talk about that a little bit. And it looks like he's going back to the G League if they'll have him.
Well, I mean, congratulations. He'll go back to the G League, get his 6 minutes and, 2 points. But, here's the deal. I lost a lot of respect for Nate Oates. I had been gaining respect for him as a coach. I think he's done a great job at Alabama. But to come out and say some of the stuff he said is just stupid. And to compare this guy to anybody else, in my opinion, is stupid. Bediako, okay, can you name any other player who left college, played in college, and left school to go to the NBA draft, played in the G League, and then came back? Can you name anybody?
No, there hasn't been. There's only been one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the whole point to me, is he was in college. He could have stayed in college 2 more years, and I believe he would have.
He could have stayed in college 2 more years. And had he known this House versus NCAA thing would have gone down, I'm sure he would have considered doing that. But instead, someone chirped in his ear, and he got a chance to go to the G League, and he thought he saw big dollars, and now he's just chasing the money.
Well, you got Najee at Baylor. He was drafted but never played. He never played college basketball, so he came back. He never played, so no college. You got Theory Darling at Santa Clara. Again, no college, none. You got Landon Johnson at Louisville, no college. Abdullah Atman at BYU, no college. So, I mean, overseas, I don't care what anybody says. Overseas is different. They don't have the college system that we have. And all of this got screwed up because we had to go NIL and start giving kids money anyway. I'm not going to get off on that crap that I could, but people have been paying them forever. And if you're going to school for free and they're giving you food and they're giving you all these things, guess what? You're getting paid. And I don't care if it's a $20,000 college or a $200,000 college. You're making money. You're getting taken care of. There's plenty of food. Don't give me this crap. Oh, this guy's on the streets. Oh, he's hungry. Blah, blah, blah. Everything is free when you're in college. And boosters at any school, if a guy on the bench said, I need $100, would give it to him. Now, it was illegal, but it's been going on for years. But I digress. The NIL screwed all this up. The fact that Alabama, who was punished by this? Bediako? No. Alabama? No. The 2 teams that lost those games, maybe so to them, where they went 3-2. It seems like the competition Alabama played might be the only people that were punished through this, since they don't have to vacate the wins. At the same time, if a judge said, okay, you can't make them vacate that.
Yeah, well, and as of right now, they will not, but it does not alleviate the opportunity for committee members to say, listen, we're not going to allow those 3 wins that Alabama got with Bediako because, quite frankly, he was ineligible. He's been
So
playing.
they just
now,
dropped him in the NCAA tournament by 4.
And remember, and you're like, wait, he wasn't ineligible. The judge said no. The NCAA said he could not play. The judge is the one who said he could play. So so according to the NCAA, he was still ineligible. He plays his 3 games. I don't think they're going to take away because I think vacated wins are stupid.
Wait, you mean the judge that graduated from Alabama and is an Alabama visitor? That's the one you're talking about?
Exactly. So with that being said, listen, this team's right now about a 5 or 6 seed. What are they, 14-8, 14-9, 15-8, something like that? They're not having the type of season that, of course, everyone thought that Alabama was certainly capable of having. And now we're going to find out what kind of coach Nate Oates is, because now he's going to have to change that piece. He pissed some people off inside his locker room. I got news for you. They brought him in. Don't say they did. Well, whatever makes a team better. Bullshit. These guys, maybe when you only get 5 guys on the floor and you're bringing a guy who's playing 20 minutes a night, that takes a lot of playing time from everyone else. And you better believe it. I know he was a teammate and he's a locker room guy, and that's great. And I think that's why Nate Oates was so behind him. Nate Oates is he's almost a buffoon to the standpoint that, obviously he'll do whatever it takes to win games for his team. And I do applaud and respect his efforts in that respect. But he kind of wears me out from the day that he was slamming on Coach K the first year he came into Alabama. I'm kind of like, dude, don't be messing with Coach K, man. We don't talk about Coach K. We don't go there, brother. You haven't won a national title yet. When you win national titles, you can talk all you want, but don't be messing with Coach K. You just don't do that. All right. Go through the real quick, and we want people to go to the website, K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. I know that you can look up K4, and there's sports, there's winners on our X thing, there's wins, there's all. Just go K4, look for K4. You're going to find the K4 brothers, because I think we're the only K4 out there. So go to K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Briefly, because I want people to go to the website and get their plays. We have free plays every single day, and then you can subscribe. And obviously, you can go one day if you're trying to get yourself out of a hole. I wouldn't suggest you call one day. I'd prefer us to get a week under your belt. I think we're good, because I don't think we've gone more than a week without having a loser record. But talk about some of the prices real quick, and then we're going to let it fly. And the guys will be back on Friday as we get back, and we'll get their thoughts on the Super Bowl. And we have some more things going on there with March Madness around the corner. Just about 8 or 9 more conference games left, so we'll get into it.
Yeah, and it's amazing. We didn't get talking into it a lot last week, but even looking at college basketball, just how the SEC has shifted. The top 25 rankings are going to change a little bit this week with Arizona taking that loss. But I really do love Michigan on the road this week against Northwestern. But it's funny because Texas A&M was number 1 in the SEC last time we talked. Now they've lost 2 in a row. They've dropped to 4th. Florida has moved up. Florida started slow. Everybody's like, what's wrong with Florida? What's wrong with Florida? What's wrong? Well, their 2 guards graduated. Walter Clayton's, playing in the NBA now with Memphis. I think he just got traded to. But Florida's guards have picked up, and Condon, good grief, is just dominating. Or Howell also. They're playing great. Kentucky is coming on. Kentucky's 2nd in the SEC now. And Arkansas is number 3. It's just crazy to think that right now at the SEC tournament happened, the double buys would be Florida, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Texas A&M. I don't think anybody saw Arkansas and Texas A&M there with it. But, our pricing for that, and I get that to say, it's less than $8 for a one-day subscription. Our weekly subscription is $49.99. The monthly subscription is $145. So you're getting a better deal at a month, but the year is $750. And that's different because you got people out there charging $500 for a weekend, and it's ridiculous. Yep. But you can always get our free plays and keep up with that. We're hitting those at 64% right now this year. And, it's a lot of fun to win. But, one of the things I've always noticed is when you lose, it's always a lot better and easier if you lose to blame it on somebody else.
Yeah, it is.
And then you can also be happier with somebody else when you win. And one of the things that we do is, bet it and don't sweat it. Just move on and look and let us spend the 4 hours a day looking at games so that you don't have to. And sometimes that 4 hours only produces 2, 3, 4 games. Well, that's life. That's good. Would you rather go 3-1, or would you rather have 6 plays and go 3-3?
True. K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Kai, thanks, brother. We'll get after it again on Friday, right here on Tony Curry Radio. Get the TKR app. You can listen to the show live on our YouTube channel. It comes up every time we're on. And, of course, also on Coastal Sports Network. We'll get back on them by the end of the week. And the Case and the Kip back. It's always nice to have the Kiefer boys join us from the forum. That's why it's called K4 today. We'll go K2 It's K4Wins.com, not K2Wins, K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.